Hey, Aaron Flint here with Montana Talks. Very cool now to be joined by a young veteran, a Green Beret veteran, one of the newer members of Congress here, Congressman Harrigan out of North Carolina. Congressman, an honor to meet you.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Thanks for all your years of service.
Oh, thanks for hosting me. It was a pleasure to serve you. It really was. As you served yourself.
Well,
so.
you know, it was an honor, and but I'll tell you what's it like now, kind of serving your country in that capacity, but now having to serve in this capacity?
It's definitely different. I tell you that my first jaunt of service was motivated really by my grandfather in a lot of ways. World War II veteran, D-Day veteran, Battle of the Bulge. Couldn't remember what he ate for breakfast, but could remember play-by-play of D-Day or, day 3 of the Battle of the Bulge and how they basically, won the free world and the world that we all and our parents got to grow up in, the world that we got to enjoy, and then, wanting to do that and serve the country, serve for a higher purpose, something other than myself, and just watching between a couple different deployments to Afghanistan. Politically, we had no will to win, and so I decided to leave the military at that point, go pursue the private sector, started a couple companies, and just worked on growing my business, growing my family. Got 2 beautiful young little girls, and then the fall of Afghanistan happened, and I genuinely believed that the way that we left Afghanistan, we condemned the world to conflict. And I saw that play out in the beginning years of the Biden administration. I think certainly up until this point in time, we've seen the world get hotter, not cooler. And I just thought, you know what, we're not going to be able to hand the same opportunities to our kids that we were so lucky, to be able to enjoy. And that's not okay with me. We got to do something about this. And the next generation of Americans has to step up. They've got to lead, because we've got failed leaders who've been leading us down the road to failed outcomes in Washington. And that's got to change, or it's going to have very significant impacts on the future of the United States and the future of the free world.
We've also got our friend Jesse Ramos with Americans for Prosperity in Montana here. Jesse, when I hear Congressman Harrigan's story, it so reminds me of earlier today we were talking with Navy SEAL veteran U.S. Senator Tim Sheehy, and similar story where here's these young veterans that are seeing what's happening to our country, and they didn't have to run for office. They weren't even looking to run for office, but they're seeing what's happening to our country, and they're stepping up to lead.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for your service on both fronts. And it is just remarkable that there are young folks like you and Senator Sheehy that are willing to truly sacrifice. I don't think for many people being an elected official is actually a demotion. I think for folks like you and Senator Sheehy, it truly is, and we really appreciate your sacrifice serving in Washington.
Well, glad to do it. We have to do it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the stakes are very high right now, and we've got to have principled leaders who lead us down the road to principled outcomes. And I think we're starting to get this train back on the tracks. We got a lot more work to do. We need a lot more good people up here.
You talk about the next generation. We talk about this, how great it is to see younger folks stepping up and leading now. Do you feel like you just walked into a train wreck there? You got Chuck Schumer shutting down the government, all the nonsense you got to put up with. I mean, just some of the stupid games. It's like, you've served with serious people doing serious things.
Yeah.
And it seems like some of these folks up here just don't take it serious.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, what's going on right now with the shutdown was a completely predictable outcome. Unfortunately, we've got a very weak Democratic Party that is grasping at straws to try to maintain relevancy and try to maintain some sort of a course or charter for their base. And unfortunately, they decided to mortgage the well-being of the American people for that purpose. I mean, look, nobody wins in a shutdown. I know there's been a lot of finger pointing, but Republicans don't win, Democrats don't win. The only thing that's assured in a shutdown is that America loses. And we've got to wake up. We got to stop playing politics. We've got to get the government back open. If we want to have policy discussions, we can have that, but let's have those discussions while the government's open. It's irresponsible to have it closed. It impacts way too many people, puts America on our back feet. When we need to be leaning forward, particularly into our adversaries as they're leaning into us around the world right now. We've got to achieve President Trump's peace through strength mission that he's laid out. We can't do that with a closed government.
Jesse, one of the things that I think is so cool about Congressman Harrigan here is obviously went to West Point, became a Green Beret, but I think he studied nuclear engineering. You were just a keynote speaker at a big Montana Energy Summit, and I bet nuclear had to come up there. Small-scale modular nuclear reactors had to be part of the discussion, at least for Montana.
Absolutely, Congressman, and I think just in general, energy is such a key part of national security. Once the government's open, What are your thoughts on unleashing American energy, expediting permitting reform? I'm from a small town in Montana where we've had logging projects that are waiting 40 years to get approved. Meanwhile, they burn to the ground.
Right.
With mining, say with energy projects. The nuclear side, our coal plants are getting shut down by the Biden administration. Their MATS rule that the Supreme Court unfortunately upheld. But we're looking to maybe get it replaced by modular nuclear. What are your thoughts on truly being able to unleash American energy?
Yeah, look, we're basically running the nuclear portfolio for Department of War at this point in Congress on the legislative side. And so through this year's National Defense Authorization Act, being the only nuclear engineer up here in Congress, we were able to lean forward with that. We got that assignment from the chairman of Armed Services. And I think we've done some great work there to clear path for a bright future for nuclear and nuclear power. We have to have that for a variety of reasons. I think certainly if you look at the key strategic advantages that the United States has versus the rest of the world, is one of the things we've been able to do for our people is we've been able to provide ubiquitous access to relatively inexpensive power. We need to continue to provide that. And with the growth of data centers and programming computing power becoming the future of the market economy as well as our nation's defense, we have to have a massive amount of energy in order to prosecute those goals properly. And nuclear is the cornerstone to that when you look at all of the different, all of the above strategies that we could have. But I think we need to learn a lesson from history, right? And we need to understand math. Energy consumption and energy sources have never, ever been replaced in human history. They're always additive because we always need more power. Peak coal was in 1963. The world is using 3.5 times more coal than where the experts said peak coal was in 1963 today. So let's stop lying to ourselves. We need power wherever it comes from, and as long as it can stand on its own 2 feet, it should not be held up by red tape from Washington, D.C.
America's 250th birthday approaching. Definitely want to get your take on that and how younger veterans like yourself, serving in Congress, serving in the Senate like Tim Sheehy and others, the dynamic that is having here in Washington right now. Jesse, first off, back to you, though, on the energy front, permitting reform, so many topics we've been covering with senators and a few other representatives here today.
Yeah, I really liked what you said, Congressman, where as long as it can stand on its own 2 feet, we don't need to be propping things up with subsidies and tax credits.
That's right.
Or all of the above. We need all forms of energy, again, as long as we don't have to prop it up with the taxpayer.
That's right. No, fully agree with you. And we just all got to get on that same page. It's actually not just something we've got to do to protect the future of our market economy. It actually is something we need to do to protect our national security moving forward, because we do have to understand we're $38 trillion in debt right now. And look, I think we've done a lot of work to fix policy up here in this first 10 months. We have not done a lot of work to fix the debt problem. And if we keep pursuing policies and continue to fund government adventures that don't math, we're going to continue to grow those deficits in an unsustainable way, and ultimately that impacts our national security.
Absolutely.
America's 250th Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. You know, I was talking about younger veterans serving in Congress like yourself, but then we've got Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He and I were, I think, platoon leaders roughly around the same time period. You're in Congress. We've got other SEALs, Green Berets, other Army, Navy, Marine veterans across the board. What dynamic is that happening as we start to boost the ranks of veterans serving in Congress once again?
It's one of the things I'm most passionate about, because if you look back at the problems that we have, we've always had broad disagreement on the solutions to the problems in our country, going all the way back to the Revolution, right? Should we actually rebel against the British? Broad disagreement on whether we should do that. Today, we've got kind of a more modern phenomenon that I'm very concerned about, which is we actually don't agree on the problem statements. And if you don't agree on the problem statements, you cannot hope to layer solutions on top of problems that you don't agree on. And so that's, to me, that is why we are log jammed in Congress so badly. To give you an example of this, right? Men and women's sports. If you want to get anything done in Congress, by the Constitution, you have to have compromise. But what that compromise is looking for, it's not looking for compromise devoid of principle. It's looking for principled compromise, shared values, right? That's how you get to that compromise position, even if you disagree on the solutions. If you look at men and women's sports, you can't compromise on that, right? You can't have a little bit of men and a little bit of women's sports. It doesn't work. And so you either believe that men and women's sports is a problem and you're going to prevent it completely, as we do, or you look at it as it's not a problem at all. And so if that's just one example, but if you look at open borders, right, you either believe that we should have controlled legal immigration into our country, or you believe we should have open borders. There's not, the middle consensus ground that the Senate tried to forge, a year and a half, 2 years ago, which is like, we're going to let 1,200 people in a day illegally, right? No, that is, this situation leaves you nothing but compromise devoid of principle, which is why everything up here in Washington is so logjammed. What we need in order to fix that problem is we need more veterans in Congress. And I would say either side, it doesn't matter, because veterans do not argue over whether the grass is blue and the sky is green, right? They understand that the sky is blue and the grass is green. We are not arguing over reality. We understand the consequences of decisions that get made up here, and we're just not willing to play ball in the same way that everybody up here is already playing ball. And so if you look back historically into the time after World War II, we had between the high 60s and 80% of Congress were veterans. Today it's 19%. And 3 cycles ago, 6 years ago, it was actually down to 11%. Historic lows. We've got to get those numbers up. More veterans in Congress solves a lot of problems for our country.
I can see your Green Beret team leader mission planning process here. If you can't first define the problem, how are you going to come up with the solution?
That's right.
For Congressman Harrigan, such an honor to see you. Anything else you want to share with our friends all across Montana?
Hey, look.
By the way, home of the 1st Special Service Force.
I know.
And so you've probably done some training in Montana before.
There's a lot of great things about Montana. It is my 3rd favorite state in the union, and behind, of course, North Carolina. Yep. And then we've got a place out in Wyoming, down south of Jackson Hole. So in your neck of the woods.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm in Big Sky as often as I possibly can. One of my business partners lives out there. And
there's some great patriots in Big Sky.
Oh my gosh, it's a wonderful, wonderful part of the country, and I'm very jealous. You guys own an amazing part of the world. Love Montana, and look forward to watching Montana continue to prosper.
Well, great to see you. Thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.